Welcome to Real Talk, where we dive into the raw, engaging, authentic, and lived experiences that inspire and inform. I'm Michelle Badusky, your host, and I believe that the hardest conversations to have are the ones we need the most. This is a safe space for real talk that challenges perspective, sparks growth, and pushes boundaries. No filters, no fluff, just real talk. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hey everyone, it is Michelle Badusky. Thank you for joining me on Real Talk today because I am super excited to be talking to the first of the 7 candidates for the Brandon School Division Trustee by-election that's happening in Brandon, Manitoba on October 16th, 2025. So Laura Armitage, thank you so much for joining me. And I think this is super exciting because for the first time in any political, so any municipal, school board, provincial, federal, I don't know any of the candidates. I've never met any of you face to face before, and I've never had that happen. So it's super exciting to be able to do this and go, hey, who are you? So welcome to my show.
Hi, thanks.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like I know what I read online, but stepping up to run for school division trustee in Brandon, this is the second biggest the second biggest city in the province, the biggest school division in the entire Westman region. Why do you want this job? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
I have kids in school. I have 4 kids in school, and right now, most of our trustees sitting on the board do not have children in school. And they have not had children in school for quite a few years now. So yes, they know what's going on in the schools from what they hear, but they're not seeing it firsthand anymore. Where I'm in there, I volunteer with my parent council. I chair my school's parent council. I have a kid in high school, so I hear the issues with the high schools. I talk to the other parent council, like throughout their members throughout the other schools. We have the Brandon Coalition where we all talk and try and figure things out. I know what's going on in the schools. I know what the big wants for the parents are. I know what the wants for the teachers are. I talk to the EAs. It'd be nice, refreshing to have a voice on the board with somebody who has kids in school and has been seeing what's going on and what actually needs to change, not just what they think needs to change.
I'm always, anyone who listens to my show, I'm a big supporter of lived experience, that in order to make decisions that impact people's lives, you need to know and meet those people where they are. So being a parent and having kids in school is a huge thing. You said 4 kids. So how old are your kids?
I have a 15-year-old who's in grade 10. I got one who's 12 in grade 6, one who's 10 in grade 4, and then one who turns 8 right away in grade 2.
Well, you are a busy, busy mom, and I know that not because I know you, but because I looked it up. You are the chairperson for your school's parent council. You
Yep.
say that you talked a lot to the teachers, you talk to the parents, obviously students because you are there in EAs. What do you feel is the biggest issue right now surrounding Brandon School Division?
Depending on which group of people you talk to is a different issue. So for teachers, they need more support, like staff, like support in the schools. They need to have a substitute roster they can pull from. I've already been talking to teachers already this year who've been having trouble finding a substitute teacher, and so resources from within the schools have been having to step up and fill those spots when teachers aren't there. So you have like lit support teachers who are filling in in a teaching role. You have like vice principals filling in a teaching role. You've had guidance counselors filling in. Basically, any free body, if they can't find a sub, is filling in a teaching role. Or if they can't do that, there's when you have multiple grades, they're just kind of splitting that class into those other grades for that one teacher to deal with for that day or until they can find coverage.
And
And if
that's
you
a
talk to the
lot.
parents, oh, it's a lot. If you
It's a
talk to
lot.
the parents, the big thing for parents right now is lunch programming. Lunch programming is still being run by parent councils. A volunteer organization is running lunch programming, and it's becoming a full 40-hour-a-week job that they're not getting paid for. They're having problems finding people who want to work an hour a day for $20 an hour. They have to make sure these people have their background check and all their checks and everything. They have to make sure parents are paying, and like, what do we do when parents don't pay? And whereas bus students get paid for by the province covers bus students to stay for lunch. Okay, why can't the rest of the kids just stay for lunch? We're in the day and age where almost every single household has 2 working parents. or it's a single parent working. Like there's not that flexibility anymore to be like, hey, my kids need to come home for lunch. Okay, I'm leaving work, or I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm gonna go home and make sure my kids have lunch at home. It's yeah. And
Sorry, my camera just that must have messed you up. For those of you who are
no, it's fine.
listening and not
Lost
watching,
my train.
my
No,
camera
and I
just shut off and poor Laura was like talking to a blank screen thinking I wasn't there. But I was there and I was listening. So
so like the province is giving us all this money to make sure kids have food in schools and they're eating, they're getting breakfast, they're getting lunch, they're getting snacks. Okay, great, cool. But now those kids need somewhere to eat, somewhere safe that they can eat.
So
Because if
explain
parents
this to
can't
me though.
afford,
I'm curious. So you say the bus students are paid for. So does that
yep,
include supervision? So you have paid supervision for the bus students, but not paid
yeah,
supervision for the town kids. That's what we used to call them back in the day, the
yes,
townies.
basically, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So
so
basically,
do they
if your
separate
kid is busking, depends on the school. Some schools do, some schools don't. Some schools just amalgamate everybody, and you have the supervisor that the division's paying for, who are supervising the bus kids, still supervise like with the kids who are paying for through the parent council, paying for their lunch programming offers,
That
or
is so interesting.
other schools are using the Y for their lunch program, and those kids get separated. So the Y kids go to whatever room the Y supervisors are supervising in, and the bus kids go to whatever room or wherever they're being supervised.
So what do you think
There
the
is
solution is?
nothing across the board that is the same for any single school. It's literally throw out an idea, and some schools probably doing that.
So it's parent council, the schools that are kind of deciding how that is going to go with the town kids. So what do you think the solution is? Like what's needed? Because to me, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. The reason being is I've never lived in Brandon. I've never sent a kid to Brandon School Division, so I don't know how all of that works. Um, so what can be done? Like what do you think the solution is? What would you like to see?
The easiest solution would be if we could get the funding for all students to be treated like bus students, where all students' lunch is just paid, supervision is paid for and covered by the division. Whether that means we get extra funding from the government or whether that means the division sets up a program where they charge parents the lunch fees and they still do the hiring and the covering of that, and they
Instead
get
of relying
reimbursed
on
from the
parent
parents covering
council.
the lunch fee. Yeah, instead of being run by volunteers, because it is at this point it's too much for a volunteer group to
It's
run
a
at
lot.
all.
And you know what we do? We see that all over for volunteers in every organization in every community. Volunteer burnout is a real thing. And it is difficult. So I commend anyone, and I've said this a million times, if you are volunteering anywhere for anything, hats off to you because volunteers are like literally the backbone of our communities. Um, so the substitute roster, is that a shortage of teachers? Is it like literally just there's not enough people signing up to be a substitute teacher? Not enough qualified teachers that need to be subs? What's happening there?
From what I've gathered, like again, I haven't gone into like the nitty gritty with it. I just get the
Of
odd
course.
passing comment from teachers here and there about it. But by the sounds of it, it's just we just don't have enough people signed up to be substitute teachers in the city right now. Whether
Well, and I
that's
think you might have touched on that too. Like you said, there's, most families are working,
yeah.
right? There's just
So who wants
enough.
to just sit and be on basically on permanently on call, and whether you're gonna
Yeah,
get
that's
a shift that day or like someone like you might have, I think for the most part they would be working their full weeks, but you might get that odd week where nobody's sick, nobody needs a substitute, no one is going off for like PD learning or anything.
I'm one of those weird people that thrives in chaos and would love to do something different every day. I'm starting to think maybe I should like quit my job and go be a permanent substitute teacher because I think that would be like fascinating. I don't think I'd last very long, but you never know. Teachers,
So,
teachers and nurses, man, those are the two professions that get all my respect because I don't think I could do either of them. I like to think I could,
yeah.
but I don't think I could. So what do you think, it's interesting to me because you're in this position where you talk to the parents and you're involved in the school as a parent volunteer. But how do you see that role of trustee? Like what do you see that role being?
Well, I've been at the trustee meetings for the last 2 years, like
Okay.
basically 90% of them. There's been the odd one I haven't gone to. So like I've gone to know the trustees, and I get like, yes, they need to like they have their processes, and I know there's processes, but I can bring a voice of a parent with kids in the school. So when they're bringing things up and they're like, well, it's always been done this way and this is how it's worked. It's like I can be like, no, it really doesn't work like that anymore. Like, yes, it's still working, but it's not working. It needs to change.
You
I
know,
can just
there's a saying in corporate governance that that is the death of organizations. The we've always done it this way.
yeah.
So you've been around. How long have you been volunteering with Brandon School Division?
I've been on our parent council for 10 years now.
Wow.
I've been chair for, I think this is my 7th year as chair. It's been a
Okay.
while.
So
It's been,
you've been around a while. So I'm going to ask you some tough questions because if you watch my show, you follow me on social media, you know that I'm an advocate for lots of different areas, but school divisions have really been in the news lately. We've had our own issues here in Brandon School Division with the huge book ban back in 2023. It wasn't a book ban, it was that big council meeting. I was there, we
yeah.
were in the gym.
I watched it till whatever time, even though I had to be at work at 5 in the morning the next day, I stayed up and watched the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I was there till like almost 2 a.m. Where, people, there was one trustee that brought it to the board, but they're looking at creating a committee to ban or influence what books were in the libraries. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not because, that was dealt with. Brandon School Division dealt with it. As far
Yes.
as I'm concerned, they dealt with it very well, but not everyone agrees. That's okay. We don't have to agree. But the reason I'm bringing up is this has come again to light because of what's happening in Alberta. So the Alberta government under Danielle Smith has now instituted government directives to schools on what books they can and cannot have in school libraries. They've also instituted government mandates for student pronoun declarations. They call it the parental rights, that, students are
Yeah.
not allowed to change their names or their pronouns in school without written permission and consent from their parents. This is highly controversial, but when you're running for a position in a school trustee, we've got to ask, where do you see the role of the school division and the trustees in those cases? Because in Alberta, they're being taken out of the equation, right? The government's making the
Yeah.
decision for them. Right now, here in Manitoba, school divisions they're seeing a lot of that. And even in Mountainview School Division, there's been a lot of controversy about, truth and reconciliation and removing diversity and inclusion programs. So it's relevant to the fact that you're now running for school trustee.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on those issues? Like, where do you want to see Brandon School Division go?
I want to see stay where we are with the books. Let the librarians pick the books. The librarians are trained. The librarians know their schools. The librarians know their students. They know their audience. They know the books that the kids are going to be reading. They know what those kids need and want. Let them do their job. Don't touch their books. Let them do it. You know what I mean? If a parent doesn't want their kid reading certain books, great. Let your school librarian know. Otherwise, leave those books for all the other kids. Because honestly, I'm an avid reader. Like I read my entire elementary school library when I was in school. Yeah, right? Like
I'm a huge
this,
reader.
this era in my life right now, I don't have time to physically sit down with a physical book. So right now I'm in my audiobook era. I've already gone through 95 audiobooks since January. Like,
Oh, that's impressive. Okay, you are outdoing me. I will tell you that. But I am an avid reader. So is my husband, and all four of my kids. Well, three of them. Well, two of them. Two of them kind of suck when it comes to reading, but that's another podcast. So
yeah,
I get
like
it.
kids, you know what I mean? Let the kids read. Like like I said, I have one son who's in grade 6. He wanted to read like YA books last year, so his librarian saw me in the school and went, "Hey, do you care if he reads these?" And I'm like, "Nope." She goes, "I didn't think you did, but we have to check because it's a YA audience." So the librarians are doing their job. They are watching what the kids are checking out. They're watching what the kids are reading. If they see an issue, they're going to talk to the parents. Let them do their jobs. Leave the books alone. I can guarantee you there's nothing pornographic in those libraries. And if there is, it's in the high school libraries and I'm sure they've pulled it. if it's been brought to their attention.
Fair
Like,
enough. Let the librarians do their job. They're trained to do it. That's where Laura stands on that issue.
let them.
And how are you feeling about what's happening in Alberta with Danielle Smith and the parental rights pronoun policies? Is that
Again,
something you'd like to see come into Brandon?
no, let the kids be kids. Because you know what? I know you've posted before. For some kids, school is their only safe place. Let them be themselves at their safe place. They may not be able to be safe at home. And if you're sending these requests and letters home for these parents, it could be making those houses even more unsafe for those kids.
Yeah.
And you
And
know what?
I think
And
that's something that people don't understand is that not all homes are safe homes.
no, they're not. And for some kids, school is their safest place, and it's the only place they can be themselves. So let them be themselves. Like obviously, if there is like if they suspect there's some like troubling like depression and mental health issues going on there, those kids actually need some support. Then yes, you may need to reach out to parents, but you can also do it in a way where you're not outing those kids and still getting them their help.
I like that. So let me ask you this. What is your biggest goal? Like if you were elected to Brandon School Division as a trustee on October 16th, what is your goal? What's your passion project? What's the one thing you want to accomplish with your time on the board?
Getting supports for our students in the classrooms, getting them what they need. I have a student that needs extra supports. We went in before he even started kindergarten, knew he was going to need extra supports. He he's in grade 4 now. He's finally gotten to the point where he's behaviorally he does not need those extra supports. Academically, he still needs some. We're still figuring that part out. But behaviorally, it took us till grade 3, till he was in grade 3, from kindergarten to grade 3, to get him that extra support he needed to make sure he was staying in the classroom and he wasn't having meltdowns. And it's just there's not enough EAs, there's not enough funding, there's not enough psychologists, there's not enough of anyone of anything that's doing those testing for that to see what the kids need. And then we go back to that thing again, where not every kid has a safe, happy home. Some of these kids don't have their parents pushing for them to get these supports, and they're just coasting through the system through the cracks. Let's try and get those kids some help and support too. Even if you got to drag parents kicking and screaming to come help their kids, they need it. They need to be able to come function adults at some point in their lives.
I did a
Eventually.
podcast. Oh, I can't even remember. It was a whole video series I did about um, supports for. I had a wonderful woman named Corrine on my show with two autistic sons, two sons living on quite living with autism, differing levels, areas of the spectrum, and we talked a lot about the supports inside the school. And I think, the gist of it was that it's not that the people that are there don't care. They do.
You know, they
There's just
care
not
so
enough
much.
of them and not enough training. Yeah,
There's not enough of them. Like you said, the Brandon School Division is a huge school division. There's 24 elementary schools, 3 high schools. We're adding in another elementary school. We have 3 psychiatrists to cover all of that.
that's a lot.
And your psychiatrists are the ones who do your assessments for your learning disabilities, and they'll do like some of your autism assessments and like some of your behavioral. And there's 3 of them over 27 schools.
That's a really tough call though, right? Because there's a shortage of trained mental health professionals
General,
everywhere, not just in schools. So I'm not sure how to fix that.
I
Do
don't
you
know
have
how
any
we fix it.
ideas?
The other thing is like just even like trying to get more like even more speech pathologists or run reg. Like we're short speech pathologists, we're short OT staff. Like my son could easily have benefited from OT too, but his isn't bad enough that they're so short of them. His wasn't bad enough that they could offer it to him. He does get speech because they're able to make that work, but there's not enough OTs for the kids that need them. Like we're lucky enough our school has space. That's another issue too. That none of the schools have space. We're all overcrowded. We're all falling like they're all bursting at the seams. We're lucky enough we have space. We have a sensory room for the kids, but not all the schools have that for those kids to go decompress in. So like there's so many different things that these kids need. Whether it
It's a
just be
lot.
like
And I think bringing that parental
that,
experience and point of view, does add a lot of value.
it does. And like that's the other thing too. We need parents to step up and advocate for their kids because there is funding out there. You just need to work with your school, work with your, you know what I mean, and find it.
Yeah, it's a
But a
tough
lot of
one.
parents, yeah.
And maybe
And then,
even just the awareness and education for parents so that they know what's available and what
yeah,
they can
yeah.
do. Because I know a lot of parents are also overwhelmed and overworked and they don't feel supported or don't have enough support for themselves. So
No, there's not
they
enough
may
supports
not
anywhere for,
know.
yeah, no, they may not know, like, because again, we don't have enough support even in the outside of schools. We don't have enough support for the parents or the kids. Like everywhere is struggling. It's a struggle.
All right, so we know where you stand on some of the big issues. I'm going to ask one last question, then I'm going to let you give me your big sales pitch and why Brandon should vote for Laura. And you're not pitching to me because I don't live in your catchment area, but you are listening to my followers, or you are pitching to my followers. But my last question is based on the tragic events of what happened in June in Brandon, in the school. One of the other, there are seven candidates running for one seat. And just in the Brandon Sun, one of the other candidates who I haven't talked to, so I'm not going to talk to her about that. But he did say that his primary concern was safety and school safety of students, violence in school. Just in Toronto, just I think it was yesterday, a 12-year-old and a 20-year-old got arrested for beating a homeless man with a hammer. Violence is escalating, discourse divide, lots to be done. But without getting into, the politics of it, as a school trustee, where do you see your role in that?
I think the schools are doing an amazing job keeping the kids safe. My oldest goes to Neelan. That was the scariest phone call to get last year. That mom, there's somebody stabbing people in the school. It's like, okay, stop, breathe. Where are you? Thankfully, she was outside the school, but she was still there. She still saw the aftermath of it. The school stepped up really well. The safety resource officer stepped up really well. The schools are still taking each school is still taking safety incredibly serious. Like you cannot go to an elementary school in Brandon without having to ring a doorbell to be let into the building. The high schools have started locking all their side doors, and you can only go in through the front door, which the office looks at, and you need to stop and talk to people and sign in. And they're not just letting people wander the hallways. If they see someone who's not supposed to be there, they'll stop and ask you, "Hey, why are you here? Where's your visitor's badge? Did you sign in?" Like they're doing what they're taking the kids' safety seriously. I know Matthew Gustafson has put into place the school safety committee. They are just starting to get off the ground now, so I'm going to be interested to see where those go and what other parents have to say, what staff has to say, what they feel needs to be worked on, and then try and implement what people think needs to change still. Do I think we need to go as far as metal detectors? No. We don't want our schools to feel like jails. We want our schools to be welcoming. We want our kids to go to school and to want to go to school, not to think that, oh, great, I got to make sure to go through the metal detector. I can't wear this. I can't wear this. I can't bring this. I got to empty my pockets. Like, we still want them to be welcoming, but we want them to be safe. And for now, I feel they're safe. As a parent who had a kid that was at that school, I do feel they're safe. I felt comfortable sending her back to school.
That's a really great perspective. So thank you for sharing that, especially being a parent with someone in that school, because it is something that some people are talking about because it was so recent, but it was also not something we see a lot of. And I think that's why it was so scary is because we don't see it. And it's good that we don't see it, and it's good that it was scary. And I think that stepping up so that it doesn't happen again is really important. And it sounds like you're very aware of what's being put in place to prevent any other tragedies like that. So thank you for sharing that. Now, it's only a couple weeks, like it's one
Oh,
month
it's
tomorrow.
short. I
One
know.
month tomorrow before election day, because I'm recording this on September 15th. Election day in Brandon is October 16th. The advance polls are open, I think, on October 8th and 11th. So, Laura Armitage, why should Brandon vote for you?
I'm a voice for the kids who are in the school right now. I know what's going on in our schools right now. I'm talking to the parents, I'm talking to the students, I'm talking to the teachers, I'm talking to the support staff. I talk to them all. I talk to the ones in my school on like every other week. For sure, I talk to almost everyone in my school every other week. There's others I talk to more often because I'm there. I talk to the parents constantly. I get that the schools are overfull and they're crowded and they are bursting at the seams. And it's not just elementary schools, it's the high schools. I get we need to start lobbying the provincial government. We need funds to build more schools in this, Brandon. We need another high school. We need to keep our kids' books on their shelves. I hear the parents who are like, we need lunch programming. Okay, let's see what we can do to work on lunch programming. Let's get these kids a safe place to eat now that they have food to eat. I'm there. I'm there, boots on the ground. I see what's going on. I talk, like I said, I keep saying it, but I talk to everyone because I see everyone and I ask the questions and I ask what's going on.
Hey, that's a great perspective, but I said I was done, but you brought something up. I'm going to ask you one last question. If Brandon was going to get another school, if the provincial government came to you tomorrow and said, Brandon School Division, we're giving you a new school, where should it be? What would you say? Where should it be in Brandon?
Somewhere centrally located because it needs to be a high school.
A high school centrally located.
The high schools are full. You cannot walk down the hallways of Crocus Point High School, according to the kids I've talked to, without being like checked into a locker. And it's not even like when we were in school and it was on purpose. It's literally because there is no room to walk.
All right. There you have it. Brandon, you've got to go out and vote. Traditionally, school trustee elections are the lowest turnout of voters ever. And if that big Brandon school division, if all the controversy in school divisions hasn't got you interested or at least aware of how important our school trustees are to our children and to our communities, hopefully this podcast will get out, go vote, because you know what? Our schools are about our children and our children are our future. And if we don't have strong trustees and a great school division, we're all in trouble. So thank you, Laura, so much for joining me. It was wonderful meeting you and good luck on the 16th. It's a heck of a ride.
It is. Thankfully, I have the greatest distraction for the 16th. That is opening night for Wizard of Oz show week, and all 4 kids are on stage. So
that's where Laura will be on election night. So thank you, Laura, and thank you everyone for listening to me. I'm Michelle Badusky, and you've been listening to Real Talk. That's it for this episode of Real Talk, where we tackled the hardest conversations because they're the ones we need the most. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and opinions. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay real, stay engaged, and keep living your authentic truth.